Hello, uh, this is Dr. Abhijit Dandekar from the Deccan College Postgraduate and Research Institute. I work as an associate professor in the Department of Ancient Indian History, Culture, and Archaeology, and I teach epigraphy and numismatics at the department. And I really thank the organizers and the authorities of the Department of Sanskrit, University of Mumbai, for giving me this opportunity to deliver a lecture in the series of 60 lectures to celebrate the Diamond Jubilee of the department. Thank you very much. Today I'll be talking on the ancient Indian scripts and I'll be introducing two ancient scripts that were in vogue in ancient India, namely Brahmi and Kharoshthi. So without much ado, let us begin the lecture. So before we get into the Brahmi and Kharoshthi and talk details about Brahmi and Kharoshthi, I thought it would be useful if we talked about the concept of writing that was prevalent in India and in the world. Yeah. What is writing? Writing is essentially a recording system of recording. And what we record, we record language by means of visible or tactile marks. A system to communicate relatively permanent ideas by means of permanent visible marks. This is basically how writing is defined, and it's a system of graphic representation of language. Yeah. Now, when one looks at the ancient viewpoints, how writing was perceived in India and in ancient world, Narad Smriti says that na karishyat yadi srashta likhtam chakshuruttaram tatrayamasya lokasya na bhavishyat shubhagati. So basically, if the Lord did not invent or gave us the written word, there wouldn't be any Shubhagati to this word. Aristotle says the spoken words are symbols of affections or impressions of soul, whereas written words are symbols of spoken words. So again, spoken words are given more importance over here. Liu She says, when the mind is at work, speech is uttered. When speech is uttered, writing is produced. So again, speech always precedes writing. Written words are unnecessary except to remind him who knows the matter about which they are written, was the view of Socrates. And Plato says that it is just a memory aid, but cannot substitute for a speech. So you see, all along these ancient scholars and ancient traditions gave precedence to speaking and oral tradition than to written tradition. So writing is always subsidiary or secondary according to them. What does the modern scholars, modern linguists say about it? So Nicholas the Messiah says, the first writing without which man could not speak to himself and which distinguishes him from animals is that which the mind has traced in itself by its own action. So that's the first writing you do. It is all about your own self. And again, it's basically the thought that is to be translated into action. Ferdinand de Saussure says language and writing are two distinct systems of science. The second exists for the sole purpose of representing the first. The linguistic object is not both the written and spoken forms of word. The spoken forms alone constitute the object. So the linguists also say that spoken word is the most important word and writing is subsidiary. In if you look at the ancient tradition, Indian traditions, also you'll see that Pustakastha Tuya Vidya Parahastagatam Dhanam was the point of view of ancient Indians. So oral tradition was always given precedence. You know the word Bahushruta and Shruti, the Vedas, entirely all about the oral tradition. Writing comes much later. Now, before we get into the scripts, let us see what are the different categories of scripts, how scholars have divided these various types of scripts in various categories. So you must have heard the word alphabets. We always use it daily on a daily basis. Uh, English alphabets or Devanagari alphabets and things like that. So what exactly are alphabets and what exactly is an alphabetic script? An alphabetic script is the script in which the vowels be at the initial position or the medial position or the lateral position are quite distinctive and they do not lose their form. So for example, if you look at the top spelling of my name, Abhijit, Abhijit, where A is the initial vowel and two I's are the medial vowels. And of course, we consider A, that would be the lateral vowel. If I wrote it in to my name in quote unquote Sanskrit, there would be an A and a visarga after it. So, coming to the point, look at A, it has not lost its form. Look at I, it also has not lost, they have also not lost their form. So, be it in the initial position or in the medial position, be it in the lateral position, the vowels do not lose their form, they do not change their form. This is one of the main characteristics of an alphabetic script. So all these are alphabets coming from the word alpha, beta, or so uh, there you see the vowels retain their positions or retain their forms. The next script I have used is Urdu. So here my name is written Abhijit. This is Alif, Be, Do Chashmi He plus Jim plus Te. Now here I can also read this as Abhijat because you do not see any diacritical mark or any vowel apart from the initial vowel, of course, Alif, in the script. Now these scripts are known as Abugida scripts where the vowels are shown by diacritical marks, but they are not necessary, they are secondary. The people who know the language would understand the context and would pronounce it accordingly. So if I since my name, I know my name, I can pronounce it as Abhijit without having any vowel signs over here. That's an Abugida script. So all the Arabic script, Farsi scripts, Ge'ez script from Ethiopia, all are Abugida scripts. Urdu is an Abugida script. Now when you come to the last, the bottom script, it's Devanagari, Abhijit. Now here I have kind of segregated my name. This a plus bha halantya plus e would be the vowel. Ja halantya plus e vowel. The and again the vowel. Now, if I write only the vowel is inherent in it. If there is any other vowel which is inherent in the consonant, I show it with a diacritical mark. You see this diacritical mark, E ki matra or Velanti as we call it in Marathi. Okay. So here E has undergone modification and it has lost its form and it is shown with the help of a diacritical mark. So showing with a diacritical mark resembles it to an Abugida script. But also, uh, since there are separate consonants and there are initial vowels, you can see over here as in the same of here and also in the same of in the case of alphabetic script. So you can say that this is a mixture of alphabetic script and Abugida script. It also resembles in that sense a syllabic script. So it's an alpha syllabic script as scholars know it, or some scholars like Richard Solomon prefer to call it as an Akshara script. Since it cannot be, the system cannot be explained by any other word. The word used in traditional Indian languages, Akshara, is used by scholars to explain this phenomenon of alpha syllabic script. And all Indic script, barring Urdu, are essentially alpha syllabic script. Now let us talk about Urdu and Sindhi would be the alpha syllabic script. Um, be it Tamil, be it Malayalam or Gujarati or Bangla or Gurumukhi, all these scripts are all alpha syllabic script. Now let us talk about the antiquity of writing in India. The earliest example of antiquity for writing is the Harappan script. Now there were debates about whether this set of symbols should be called as script or should be only regarded as and treated as a set of symbols. Uh, why? Because uh, they are very short uh, inscriptions, if I may call them. So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, uh, 11, 12 at the most. Okay, 12, 13 symbols here. Most of this seals and ceilings bear symbols, only 5 to 6 symbols on them. The largest inscription, if I may call it, was found at Dholavira on a gateway. It is around 17 characters. So, we have very short inscriptions, as you can call them, and these inscriptions do not have any corroborative script. To give an example, how Egyptian hieroglyphs were deciphered, they were deciphered thanks to Rosetta Stone. You all must have heard about Rosetta Stone, which has inscription in three distinct scripts. You have Egyptian hieroglyphs, you have Demotic script, and you have Greek script. So, with the help of the known script, the unknown script was deciphered. So, you require something known, and the journey is always from known to unknown. So, uh, for want of any known script which corroborates with Harappan script, uh, it is very difficult to decipher or bit impossible to decipher the Harappan scripts, I would say. So unless until we find something contemporary, say for example, cuneiform script, because the Harappans had contact with the Mediterranean world and the Middle Eastern world. So definitely, if we find some sealing or some tablet which has Harappan as well as cuneiform symbols, we should be in a position to decipher this script. But sadly, we haven't yet found any. Though there are many claims of deciphering the script, but the claims cannot be verified. And once you decide that this is a particular script, you can actually, read anything that you want. Nevertheless, the scholars have kind of tried to look at it from the statistical point of view, and have found out that there are more than 400 symbols in it. Some of them are simple symbols, some of them are complex symbols or combinations of symbols. For example, if you see in this particular inscription, if I may call it, you see this symbol over here, like a branch of a tree, and the same symbol is within a leaf over here. Or if you see this symbol, the fish symbol, the same symbol is over here, but with a cap kind of a thing. So symbols have undergone modifications, symbols have undergone combinations. So there is a chance to believe that certain individual symbols and combinations of their symbols would give rise to certain sounds. We do not know these sounds. One thing is sure, for though, that the script was written from right to left. Looking at the strokes on the seals and ceilings, you can definitely make out that the script was written from right to left. So that much we know, and we know that there are 400 plus symbols in Harappan scripts. Now let us talk about the antiquity of writing in the historical period. So when it comes to historical period, there are enough examples of writing. The debate, however, is how early is the Indian historical writing. Now, there are many claimants for this oldest evidence of writing, the Sohagauda copper plate, which was found during the excavations at Sohagauda near Gorakhpur in modern Uttar Pradesh. Sadly, the plate is lost, so we do not have the actual plate with us, but nevertheless, we have enough photographs of this copper plate. Another example is the Mahasthangarh inscription found in modern day Bangladesh. Both these inscriptions look contemporary, and scholars believe that they belong to the period which was before Ashok. We all know that Ashokan inscriptions are the first evidence of a full-fledged writing in India, though there are evidences, you would say, maybe no, not complete evidences, but there are evidences which suggest that there could be writing in India before Ashok also. In South India, for example, you have inscriptions inscribed or scratched on the potsherds. And such potsherds have been found in excavations at Kodumnal and Porunthal in Tamil Nadu or in Sri Lanka at Anuradhapura. Now, these inscriptions are written or were written in a variety of Brahmi called Tamil Brahmi. And when the layers of these potsherds were uh, dated using radiocarbon dating, they come to around, the dates were around 5th to 6th century BCE. Now, of course, there is a debate about it, uh, whether we should take this date seriously or we should have some amendments in those dates. And there are scholars which are continuously arguing about it. But there is a stratified archaeological evidence of pre-Ashokan Brahmi in South India. So the debate still continues. Now, before we get to, after we have discussed this debate and old writing and ancient writing and how old the dates are and things like that, let us talk about the scripts proper. Now, here I'm going to talk firstly about the Kharoshthi script. This script was written from right to left and it contained only short vowels. So, A, E, U, I, O, such vowels were absent at least in the script. They were there probably in the language, but they were not represented in the script. And the ligages, when they formed the ligages formation was quite peculiar. Ligatures are basically when you pronounce a Sanyukta Akshar or a Zodakshar, a consonant cluster. So, Tra, Br, Kva, Tia, Kana would be some, or Shna would be the consonant clusters. Now, how do you represent them? In modern index system or in Devanagari system in particular, you write the first sound as half sound and the second sound as full sound, and you join them either horizontally or vertically. That's the system followed in the Devanagari system. Now, in Kharoshthi, the similar system was followed, but sometimes, or rather many times, you will see that the resultant consonant cluster or resultant ligature looks totally different than that of the inherent sounds. To give you a parallel example from Devanagari would be the sound of ksha in Kshatriya. This ksha is made of k and sh. But when it is represented in the Devanagari script, it does not look either like K or either like Sh. It takes a completely different form. Another example would be the sound of Jya, which is also pronounced as Jnya in Marathi, Gna in Gujarati, Kannada, Gya in many North Indian languages. So this Jnya, Gna, actually pronounced as Jya, neither shows any signs of j or y, which are the inherent sounds in there. So the ligature takes a completely different form. So there are many such examples in Kharoshthi where ligatures look totally different than the inherent sounds. So that's a peculiarity of Kharoshthi. Now, Kharoshthi was practiced and was in vogue in the northwestern region of the Indian subcontinent, the modern day Pakistan, parts of Afghanistan, and in some parts of Central Asia, you would find the Kharoshthi was quite in vogue. It probably catered to the language called Gandhari language spoken in that Gandhara region, and hence the name Gandhari. Now, there are various theories about why its name was Kharoshthi. Some people say that it looks like the lips of a donkey. Khara is donkey, Khara Oshtha is donkey. Some people believed that it was written on the donkey's hide, Kharaposta, and it becomes Kharoshtha and Kharoshthi. So there are various theories, we do not know. Uh, Now, Kharoshthi also appears to be pre-Ashokan. The first full-fledged appearance is at Shahbazgari and Mansehra in today's Pakistan. The Ashokan rock edicts, the major rock edicts of Ashok, which has 14 dictats, were written in Kharoshthi at Shahbaz Gadi and Mansehra, including today's Pakistan. Now, the system of using Kharoshthi was followed by the successive rulers and subsequent dynasties such as the Indo-Greeks and the Indo-Scythians or Indo-Parthians in that region. So on their coins and their inscriptions, you would find Kharoshthi used quite profusely. Uh, this practice continued till the time of the Kushanas. The first Kushan king, Kujila Kadphises, used his script on his coins, was followed by his successor Vimatakto, his successor Vimakadphises, and Kanishka, Khovishka. So all of them used Kharoshthi on their coins, and they've also written inscriptions in Kharoshthi. Uh, this was the period of around 3rd century CE, after which we do not find uh, the usage of Kharoshthi. It kind of gets into downfall and gets dissipated and gave way to Brahmi. So after 3rd, 4th century CE in this region, you see Brahmi taking precedence and slowly taking over the entire universe of Kharoshthi. We shall see why it happened later on. Yeah, so these are the Kharoshthi Aksharas. Uh, as I told you, there are no long vowels. So e, u, a, au, and are the only six swaras or vowels that you find in them. You also will observe that which is written with an anuswar, this anuswar is absent in Kharoshthi. This is the Varnamala. K, k, g, g, ng was absent in Kharoshthi. Though it was pronounced, it was shown with a different symbol. So ng was absent. Ch, ch, j, jh, y, t, th, d, dh, t, th, d, dh, p, ph, b, bh, m, y, r, l, v, sh, sh, s, and h. Now you will see sounds like b and t have similar symbols. Sometimes you can also confuse between n, and the. The and h are kind of mirror images of each other. R and v also kind of similar. Now, mind you, this is a standardized version of Kharoshthi. There are many variations in Kharoshthi. And if you look at the diacritical marks, of course, only for short vowels, k, ki, no ka, no long e, no long ki, ku, a short sign over here, k, a top like today's a ki matra, ko, a matra coming down, and kam, as I show you, there is no anuswar. The consonant m is attached over here. So ng was also written like this by attaching k, I'm sorry, to the bottom of the letter. So these are some Kharoshthi aksharas, and these are the numerals. So one, they look like Roman numerals, 1, 2, 3, but 4 and X or a cross for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, there is no 0. 0 was yet to be incorporated in the script. So 11 would be 10 plus 1, again right to left. 10 plus 4 would be 14. This is the mark for 20. 20 and 10 would become 30. 20 and 20 would become 40, and so on and so forth. This is marked for 100, 200, 300, and this is 1000. So this was the system was used. This is only an example. These are not the exact numbers which are represented in the inscriptions. Not all numbers are also represented in the inscriptions. Uh, but this is how they wrote their numbers. Now let us, this is Just to show you some example, this is an inscription, Sui Vihar, somewhere in Afghanistan or in Central Asia, where you have this inscription belongs to Kanishka Maharajasa Rajati Rajasa Devaputrasya Kanishkasya, and it goes on further. So this is found on one of the Buddhist relic caskets inscribed. This is how the Kharoshthi looks. Now you will imagine how the standard letters look and how the actual inscriptions look. And these are some of the coins which have Kharoshthi on them, and of course there is Greek on them. This coin belongs to an Indo-Greek king called Apollodotus. Apollodotus the first. Legend is Basilius Apollodotau Soteros, and here legend is Maharajasa Apollodatasa Tratarasa. This is another coin of a king called Strato with his mother Agathoclea. So the legend is Maharajasa Tratarasa Stratasa. Now here is the ligature of Stra over here. So Stratasa, and name of the queen Agathoclea here at the bottom. This is the coin of uh, a famous Indo-Greek king called Menander, famous in Buddhist tradition as King Milinda, uh, because of his uh, text, Milinda Panho. Here you have legend Maharajasa Tratarasa Menadrasa, and the legend here is Basilius Soteros Menandrau, the legend. And the last one, just an example, is of a king called Vimakadphises, who was a Kushana king. Vimakadphises happens to be the first king to have issued coins in gold in Indian subcontinent. So on this, you have a legend in kind of Bactrian Greek script, Basilius Uimokadphises. It starts from here, Basilius Uimokadphises, and the legend over here is Maharajasa uh, Raja, Rajati Rajasa, Rajadi Rajasa, I'm sorry, Rajadi Rajasa, Sarva Loga Ishwarasa, Maheshwarasa, Hima Kapishasa, Tratara is the legend on his coin. So it's a huge legend in Kharoshthi. So these are some of the example of Kharoshthi writing on in inscriptions and on coins. Now let us talk about the Brahmi script. Now unlike Kharoshthi, Brahmi was written from left to right as we write even today, barring Urdu and Sindhi. You have all the script written from left to right. The first full-fledged form of Brahmi is available in Ashokan edicts. Now you can consider this as mother, or rather a grandmother or a great-grandmother of all Indic scripts except Urdu and Sindhi, which take their inspiration from Arabic and Farsi. The early forms of Farsi, early forms of Brahmi were used for writing the Prakrit language. So you see the early inscriptions, be it the Sohogoda copper plate or say the Tamil inscriptions, of course, Tamil Brahmi inscriptions are in Tamil, but when we talk about the North India, the earliest inscriptions are in Prakrit language. And when they started using Sanskrit to write their inscriptions, the script underwent modifications. It kind of reformed itself and it kept itself relevant to remain, in practice. So hence, while Kharoshthi became obsolete because it couldn't adjust to the Sanskrit pronunciation, it couldn't make any modification within itself, Brahmi was able to retain its relevance. So that's a value that we get from the journey of the script, that if you want to be relevant in changing times, you will have to change yourself. So by continuously undergoing modification, thus losing its original form, what we have today is the modern Indian script. It underwent through a process of almost 2,500 years, and on the way, it gave rise to many scripts such as Siddha Matruka, Sharada, Nagari, Nandi Nagari, so on and so forth. Now, remember one thing that these scripts, either Brahmi or Kharoshthi, are the modern names given by scholars, by modern scholars, based on ancient texts. When the script was deciphered or first was noticed, it was known as Indo-Pali, and Kharoshthi was known as Bactro-Pali, because the scholars thought that Pali was written in them using these scripts. So since it was in Indian subcontinent proper, it was known as Indo-Pali, whereas the Kharoshthi was concentrated in the northwestern region, in the Bactrian region. Bactrian region is one of the regions in Afghanistan now. In Mahabharat, it is the same region is known as Balhika, or the modern current name is Balkh. So in that Balkh or Balkh region, the Bactrian region, the Kharoshthi script was invoked, hence it was known as Bactropali. Now when scholars started looking at the text to find some context for this or some name for these scripts, so they found out that a Buddhist text called Lita Vistar, though written in around 3rd century CE, there are 64 scripts mentioned in the text. This text talks about the life of the Buddha. And Lalitha Vistara tells us that the Buddha knew 64 scripts. So in that, the first two names are Brahmi and Kharoshthi. And then there are Pushpalipi, Manushalipi, Nagalipi, Angalipi, Vangalipi. There are so many different, probably varieties of Brahmi which are mentioned. We don't know. Jaina texts talk about some the texts such as Samavanga Sutta or Pandavana Sutta talk about Bambi, Bambi in the Livia or Brahmi Lipi, Atharasa Viha Likha Vihane Padnate. That means there are 18 different ways of writing Brahmi. So here you have the word Brahmi over here. The Chinese Buddhist Encyclopedia, Fa Yuan Shulin, talks about two scripts, one script which was written from left to right, and the another script was written from right to left. And you have the names respectively as Brahmi and Kharoshthi. So by putting all these evidences together, uh, scholars believed that the script which was written from left to right should be called as Brahmi, and the script that was found to have been written in right to left direction should be called as Kharoshthi. So this is a consensus among modern scholars to call these two scripts as Brahmi and Kharoshthi respectively. Left to right is Brahmi, right to left is Kharoshthi. We do not know what the people of Ashoka's kingdom or people of Gautamiputra Satakarni's kingdom or people from Pallava kingdom called these scripts. They do not mention the name of their scripts. What we have in their inscriptions, what we have is a set of texts which give you references to scripts, and what we have is inscriptions in two scripts. So by putting these two data sets together, scholars have come to this conclusion that Brahmi and Kharoshthi were the ancient scripts in vogue in ancient India. Now these are the letters, aksharas in Brahmi. And all long vowels are there. Now remember, this is the earliest example of Brahmi. So I'm cite what you see on your screen is the example of earliest Brahmi or Ashokan Brahmi. So since it was used for writing Prakrit, swaras or vowels such as r are absent in this. You see a, e, u. This long e is also absent in Ashokan inscription. It comes, however, in later inscriptions, such as this particular 4-dot version comes in the Nanegat inscription, and this 2-dot with a line in between is found on the coins of the Western Kshatrapa dynasty. U, A, I. Now, I is a diphthong. Now, this form I is not found in Ashokan inscription. O, Au is also not found, another diphthong. I hope you know that what diphthongs are. Diphthongs are combined vowels. E becomes I, O becomes Au, U becomes Au. So these diphthongs are absent in Ashokan inscriptions, but later on you do find them. And aha would be the visarga. Then ka, kha, ga, ga, 5 sets of consonants. Y, r, l, v. And sh, s, h. These are the latest. Now, when Ashokan inscriptions were noticed or they were observed or they were studied, it was found that the letters all over the subcontinent are uniform, be it in Uttarakhand, Gujarat, Bihar, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, anywhere, be it that is rock edicts or pillar edicts, the letters are quite uniform. So that again gave rise to another debate about the origin of Brahmi. So there are two factions. One faction believes that it is Brahmi or Kharoshthi. Both the scripts have an indigenous origin, and another faction believes that it has quote unquote foreign origin. The propounders of indigenous origin believe that since the language precedes any script, this the script was devised to use to symbolize or to write Indian languages. Hence, the forms are all Indian, and hence it was devised in India. Whereas scholars who believe in foreign influence, they cite certain examples which show the similarity of forms. Now, they have taken help of South Semitic scripts, they have taken help of North Semitic scripts, the Phoenician scripts, and the Aramaic scripts. Now, if you look at the Aramaic script, which was a kind of lingua franca in the ancient world, uh, you will see, mind you, Ashokan inscriptions are also there in Aramaic and Greek. They are found in Afghanistan, in Kandahar. Ashokan inscriptions written in Greek and Aramaic. So if you look at Aramaic script, you will see a lot of similarity between Kharoshthi and Aramaic. So you'll see a direct influence on Kharoshthi of Aramaic. Even the direction of writing is from right to left. Whereas Brahmi, when it comes to Brahmi, Brahmi is written from left to right. And though it shows some similarities with Aramaic script or Phoenician script, and you can kind of say that certain letters probably were certain forms were probably taken from Phoenician scripts. It is really very difficult to come to any conclusion whether these forms were they were devised by Indian scholars, ancient Indian scholars, or they were devised by ancient scholars, but by taking inspiration from the foreign scripts. So this debate is still on and there is no conclusion as such, but you can see a striking similarity between Aramaic script, which definitely predates Kharoshthi, and the Kharoshthi script. These are the diacritical marks for any long sound. You will see in Brahmi, you have an extra stroke. Here on the top for further extension for E, further extension, one addition of one extra stroke for long E, ku, ki, then ku, a stroke at the bottom, long ku, two strokes, K, one stroke at the left, two strokes for kai, two strokes for a cow, one right and left. See how beautifully they have distinguished different vowels and diacritical marks. This is a very, really work of a genius, I would say. And then these are numbers. Mind you, again, like 0 was not incorporated in the script as of now, as of then. So hence you have 1, 2, like Kharoshthi, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, different symbols for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, and it goes on. For example, this is only an example. So if one were to write 10, 11, it would be 10 plus 1 over here. If one had to write 98, it would be the symbol for 90 and symbol for 8 over here. Another interesting thing is that these very numerals, especially the first 9, gave rise to the numerals that we use today. The numerals that we used while writing in English, deliberately using the word English, they are known as Arabic numerals because these numerals were taken by the Arabs who were the middlemen in the long distance trade to the European world. And hence these numbers were known as Arabian numbers, Arabic numbers. So if you see, if you just join these two lines together, it becomes 2. If you join these 3 lines together, it becomes 3, and so on and so forth. Now let us see some examples of Brahmi and its development. This is the earliest example. I mean, Ashokan inscription, a full-fledged example, earliest full-fledged example of Brahmi script. This is an inscription of Ashok written or inscribed on the pillar called Rumindei pillar, which is now in Nepal. So this says that Devana Piyena Piyadasena Lajina Visati Vasa Visitena Atana Agacha Mahihite Hida Budhe Jate Sakymuniti Sila Vigada Bhicha Kalapita Sila Thabecha Usapapite Hida Bhagavan Jateti Lumbini Game Ubali Ke Kate Athabhagi. It basically tells us that 20 years after he was appointed or anointed as king, Abhishitena, king himself came to a place called Lumbini Gama or Lumbini, where Bhagavan or Lord Buddha was born. And since he was born over there, he kind of constructed a wall made of dress stones and erected a Sila Thabe. Sila Thabe or Shila Stambha was erected here, and he gave concessions in taxes. So this is what is mentioned on this pillar. Then we come to now observe this carefully. Look at the forms. Just you, maybe some of you already know the Brahmi script. Some of you who do not know the script, just observe the forms and how they look different over here. Firstly, you see some kind of a mark on top, some kind of a triangular mark on top. You see the letters are becoming more angular in nature. They have become more stoic. They have been kind of compressed from the top. Now, this is a 2nd century CE Brahmi belonging to a king called Kaneshka. So, Maharajasya राजतिरास्य देवपुत्रस्य शाह कनिष्कस्य संवत्सरे some is for samvatsara. This is 7. He Hemanta Paksha 1 Divasa 15th Etasya. So 7th Samvatsar, 1st Heman and 15th day of that Samvatsar. Etasya Purvayam, and it goes on ahead. This is just to show you different forms of Brahmi. Now, this Brahmi comes from Andhra Pradesh, coastal Andhra Pradesh. There was a dynasty called Ikshwaku dynasty who gave handsome donations to the Buddhist monasteries over there. So you'll see a lot of exaggeration of strokes, unlike the previous one over here. So this is the mark for E. This is R. So all these are elongated marks. So another version of writing it. So this belongs to Veerapuri Sadatta. This is the name, Siri Veerapuri Sadatta, Samvatsare, and it goes on. This is another form of Brahmi known as box-headed Brahmi or Petika Shirshak Brahmi. This was in vogue in central India and parts of Maharashtra in the Vidarbhi region. The earliest examples of this are found with the Vakataka dynasty, and later on it was also used by dynasties in Central Asia such as the Sharavapuriyas and the Pandavamshis. You'll see on each letter you will see a box over here at the top. So hence it is known as the box-headed Brahmi. Now you will see certain marks over here, triangular marks with a depression. So these are known, this type of script is known as Siddha Matrika script or nail-headed script. So you will see because they resemble head of a nail, it is known as nail-headed script or Siddha Matrika script. So it says Shashti Varisha Sahasrani Swargiteshtati Bhumida Achetanavantacha Tanyeva Narakam Vaset. So it's an imprecatory verse found in one of the land grant inscriptions of this period. Then slowly it comes to Nagari. This is the earliest form of Nagari around 10th century CE. Then by around 10th, 12th century CE in region above the Ganges in the Himalayan region, another script was in vogue known as the Sharada script. So this is the Sharada script that you see over here. Sharada script in turn gave rise to the Gurumukhi script. And this is one of the examples of the South Indian scripts. So you will see that while South Indian scripts have become more and more rounded in nature, the North Indian scripts are more angular in nature. Now, why this happened? Because while writing in the ancient Indians would write on two types of medium. Of course, stone and copper happened to be the hard material, but when it came to soft material, when they wrote the texts and they wrote their pothis, they wrote it on either on birch bark paper, paper made of the birch bark tree. The bark was taken to write the manuscripts, or the Tadapatra or Talapatra as they are known, palm leaf manuscripts. So when you write on palm leaf, you actually don't write, you kind of scratch the surface of palm leaf with a pointed tool or stylus. So when you write on palm leaf, it is easy and it is beneficial to write in rounded forms so that the paper does not tear, the palm leaf does not tear. So hence, South Indian script tended to become, and palm leaves were more in vogue in South India, and the South Indian scripts became more and more rounded in nature. Whereas when you wrote on uh, the birch bark paper, it is essentially was written by a pen with a nib, and there you did not have to use only the rounded marks. You could use the angular marks also, angular symbols also. Hence, the scripts in North India and in Eastern India developed more angular letters, whereas scripts in South India developed more circular letters. So I hope this introductory lecture was beneficial to you and you learned something from this. Thanks once again to the Department of Sanskrit, University of Mumbai for giving this opportunity. Thank you very much.